Kaylen, my rental queen. Not anymore. He bought a house.
I did buy a house.
Yeah, but you've rented. You've rented multiple places.
Mm-hmm.
In my whole life, I've only rented once. And I feel like that's a really, really random thing because now I rent to other people, but I find that that's just a stupid thing that I've only rented once in my life. So otherwise living with your parents is fantastic, if I'm going to be honest. Kaylen, what's some of the best things that your property manager ever did for you, or did that you never hear from them?
I heard from them when they showed up on my doorstep to change the furnace filter.
Oh, well, hey, that's a plus.
We didn't hear from them that much. We didn't have too many issues with them though.
Yeah, which is a good thing about your property.
Yeah.
Some properties aren't like that though.
Mm-hmm.
No. Well, we have one of the best property managers here, and I'm not biased. I just really like Caleb too. So welcome Caleb Schafbuch to the To Be Real podcast today.
So glad to be here, and to be real, that's a lot of high praise for me. I don't deserve that.
This is an all honest podcast. We don't even tell anything that's not honest on here. So 100% full praise coming your way too.
Love it. Love it.
Well, Caleb, you're with Real Property Management. So you are kind of in that, we call it a BDM role. Tell everybody what that BDM role is.
Yeah, so main goal behind that is just helping our clients grow their real estate portfolios, helping new clients get onboarded and set up with RPM. And then once they're part of the system, to help put opportunities in front of them, whether it be a new property, new potential property for them to invest in, whether it be offloading other properties that they have and reinvesting in something else. I'm just kind of that catalyst to help them grow and to help them meet their real estate investment goals.
You bet. So you're like the first one that investors talk to on the phone. Yeah. So they're going to call you and you're going to point them in the right direction and get them all hooked up too.
Yep, I am. If I had to describe it, I just kind of want to be the Google for people when it comes to property management. So
I love it. Those are some big shoes to fill right there.
Yeah, maybe more like a Bing.
Okay, Bing.
Right, Yahoo.
Ask Jeeves.
So not all encompassing, but just want to be a resource. Have been around real estate and property management specifically for some time now. So like to think I know what I'm doing, but more importantly, if I don't, I know that I'm connected with people that do. So
yeah. And that's sometimes the best thing too. Again, we don't have to know it all. We just have to know the people that know that piece of all of it.
Right on. Who, not how.
Yep. Oh, love it. Yeah. Tell me some of the people that call you. So are these big time investors? Are they one-offs? Like what are some of the people that call you for property management needs?
Oh, it's a mix of everything. It's a mix of everything. So I have agents in the Des Moines area call me or email me frequently just for advice. Perhaps they have a client that is looking to dip their toe in the waters of real estate investment and are doing some really, really early preliminary fact finding on what all this means. So I talk to quite a few agents on a daily basis. I talk to folks who, a pretty common conversation I have these days is with folks that bought their home 3 to 5 years ago, have one of those crazy 3.5% interest rates.
Yeah.
Get relocated out of state, or they're moving in with a new spouse, or life changes and they want to hold on to their home and want it to start being an investment for them. So I talked to quite a few people, and then there's people that have been doing it themselves, property management for years, and they're either burnt out or reaching that ceiling of complexity where they need additional help. And then we have big time, if you call it. So people that have 50, 100 doors that, from the start, they know that they can't do it themselves. So bring us along for the ride to help them on their journey to get their projects underway.
Yeah, and when they call you, like, what are some of the initial questions that you're asking these people too?
Yeah.
Maybe
well,
agents are a little bit different than if somebody investors, but like if somebody's an investor, what are you asking them?
Really, man, what's the goal? What's the goal? Why do you want to hold on to your property and have someone else live there? So, when it comes to the buy and hold strategy, so buying the real estate, maybe putting a little bit of upfront money into it to get it nice and pretty, and then renting it out. That's a long-term game. So trying to get to people's end games and what they're trying to do, and figure out what kind of return they're looking for. Whether that be like, I don't have an option. I don't have any other option. I can't sell the home for what I need to get out of it, and I'm just going to rent it out for the next year or two until I can get out of it. Or people that want to put money aside to have a college fund for their kids. It can be a million different goals. So first step is usually to get aligned with them, figure out what they're trying to do, and then put the practical steps in place to have that goal be met.
Yeah, because again, people from all walks of life have those different goals, what they want to do, like truly.
Yeah.
Well, and sometimes people need to ask that question before they buy an investment property, period. Like, what is your goal? Maybe they already own it and they know that they want to do that, but sometimes again, they have no idea. They just heard that investing in real estate was cool. Let's do it. And then it's like, oh, it's not all cool when you have to be a homeowner sometimes.
Yeah, I think investing in real estate has gotten kind of cool.
Yeah.
At least, I live it day in and day out, and so a lot of my social media feeds, if you will, are a lot of those big time guys or gals that kind of pitch it as a way to make a ton of money. And you can absolutely kill it, but it's also not for everyone.
Yep.
And it's it can be a risky ordeal. So when we're having those conversations about what are your goals, what are you looking to get out of this experience, sometimes it's not right. Sometimes it's not right for everyone, especially the barrier of entry is a little bit higher with home prices and interest rates if you're just starting out, and it can be risky. It can be risky to own real property because real things break. And real things don't always go perfectly. So,
and real things cost money.
Real things cost money. That's so true. Yep.
Yeah. So when people call you and they say, "Hey, Caleb, I'm an investor and I want you to be a property manager for my property." A lot of people think that's a rent collector, but I feel like property managers probably do a crap ton more than just collect rent. So what are some of the things that you do typically in your property? And I bet the list is exhaustive, but what are some general things that you're doing besides just collecting rent?
Yeah, so a large part of it is just mitigating risk, whether that is the actual physical structure of the home and the land that it sits on, or if it is legal things that can come into play when you're putting your home on market for rent, by voluntarily putting your home on the market and having someone else live in that. There's some rules you got to play by. So there's guidance that we do in that front as well. But I'd say a big part of it is mitigate risk, making sure that the people that we place can afford the property. They're going to take good care of the property. They're going to be able to pay their rent on time. And then to put all the documentation in place so that everyone knows their responsibilities throughout the course of having this property be an investment. So that is our management agreements with our clients, being an agent of theirs, having the fiduciary responsibility to them to advise and guide them. It's getting the paperwork in place for tenants so they know what their expectations are to keep the property in tip-top shape, when they need to pay rent and where they need to pay rent to, and how they need to submit maintenance requests, and all that jazz. So that in itself can be an exhausting list, but we're also set up for it to be a really passive experience for clients as well. So a lot of people that are either just starting out or maybe have a few properties under their belt, they just want their time better protected. And when someone else is living in a home that you own, you have responsibilities to them to make sure that you're communicating, holding up your end of the bargain as a landlord or a property owner. And that can take an immense amount of time to make sure that you are facilitating all the needs that a tenant could have in your property. So we help protect time and want our clients to be informed with what's going on with their property, but not necessarily need to be involved. So we can kind of act as a buffer for them.
Yeah, because so many people, they want passive income, and they've heard real estate is you can make some passive income. But then when they start to rent properties, they don't realize all the stuff that it takes. Those 2 a.m. phone calls when your tenants lock them out that Kaylen's never done because she's never been to a bar before, ever. You know, it's my husband and I just had to go fix a toilet that was leaking. Like, we had to do that because we don't have a property manager up here. And so people don't realize all those little things that just take up time. It's not just all passive income unless you hire a property manager to help take care of those things for you.
Yeah, so help protect time. And then another reason people tend to reach out and call is they just don't know. They just don't know what it looks. They don't even know if it's possible. So I'm here to help them know that it is possible. But also, we got close to a dozen team members who are all experienced in the space, and there's a really good chance that we can do it a lot better than any one person or a husband and wife couple could do it on their own, just because it's what we do every single day. So it can be uncomfortable to call a tenant and ask them to pay rent if they're a day late. We got people that's not an uncomfortable thing for them to do anymore because they do it every single day. It can be uncomfortable to reach out to a tenant and say, hey, is everything working all right in the property? Are all your sinks draining? Are all the toilets flushing? Because you know what can come from that is like this whole honey-do list of stuff to do out at the property that's going to take up a weekend. And that's why we have folks, dedicated service coordinators, to make sure that those proactive maintenance things are in place.
And that, again, those proactive things make your property better. I mean, again, they protect it. Because again, if you got a leaky faucet, nobody reaches out and nobody's thought about it. And then that turns into a bigger disaster the longer it goes too.
That's
so
true. Yep.
yeah, love it. So I bet you probably get calls that say, hey, Caleb, what would this property rent for? That's probably a lot of it because people want that money. Again, that passive income that they're kind of looking at. What are some things you take into consideration when you kind of price a property?
Yeah. 3 main things that I draw from to estimate what a property may rent for. We're at a point now in the property management world where we don't have any kind of MLS or multiple listing service. So there's not that cooperation of property management brokerages sharing all their data, if you will, on what their properties rent for. So that adds to the complexity of pricing properties. But the 3 main things, we have some software. We have some software in place that will pull beds, baths, square footage, year built, and look for other properties that are similar in the same zip code. Anything that's been put on the market on a third-party website like Zillow or Trulia, it'll pull and it will calculate out kind of an average market rent, a price per square foot, if you will, give you a couple $100 range of what the property could rent for. It's not perfect because it doesn't pull in all the criteria that makes a successful rental property, like if it has a third stall garage or if the basement's unfinished or finished. Doesn't take.
I would say it won't pull in if it smells like cigarette smoke, cat pee. That never goes into any of these calculations whatsoever anytime.
Right. So that's a great starting point. That's the first thing I take a look at. The second is at RPM we're fortunate enough to manage right around like 800 single family homes in the Des Moines area. So there's a pretty good chance that we have a property that's pretty close to almost anything. I mean, we have everything from 1-bedroom efficiency units up to 5-bedroom, $1 million houses in the suburbs. So there's a good chance we have rented a property in the past similar to whoever this, whatever the subject property may be. So that's the second thing that I pull from is our rent rolls and seeing, we were able to rent a 4-bed, 3-bath ranch style home in North Ankeny last year for X amount of dollars. That's pretty much what your property is. We should be able to rent it out for this. And then the third thing is experience. It's hard to replicate the experience that we have. So our head leasing coordinator, Brooke, has been in property management for a decade now. I started at RPM as the sole leasing agent. So we have literally rented thousands of properties to thousands of tenants. And after taking a look and walking through properties, there's a really good chance that we know what the property is going to rent for. That doesn't always align with what an owner needs to get out of it to have it make money. But again, it's a long game. So going into the other criteria that makes an investment successful, it at least lets us have that conversation if rents aren't in line with what an owner needs to get to have it cash flow or break even. So those are the three main sources that we pull from when pricing properties.
Yeah, and I think that's something that people need to be aware of too. A lot of people think that they can rent and cash flows immediately, and I'm gonna have all this extra cash to be able to spend on shoes and yoga pants or whatever they want to spend it on. Yeah. And it's like, will you though? Will you have all that? Because stuff comes up. Again, roofs, we have a rental that we need to replace the roof. And it's like, okay, we've been saving for this because we knew it was going to come up. Air conditioners, all of the things that you get, like you said, cost money. So what is your end game? What do you need to prepare for too? And you help with that, correct? Like most property managers will help kind of figure that stuff out.
Yeah, for sure. And also we as humans have a tendency to think that our stuff is the best.
Oh, always.
We own it's special to us. We have memories in the home, or we bought a property, or we bought something because of our emotional attachment to it. And it's where I kind of have to come in and say we're going to market into a market where there's opportunity, there's properties out there. It would be like buying a share of Apple and thinking that your share of Apple is better than someone else's just because it's yours. So trying to, say, yes, this is your home. You lived here. You love it because of these, certain criteria. But there's more than likely another home that shares similar criteria. And so we got to be in the realm of reality when it comes to pricing out homes, and understand that this is going to be an investment. This is going to be investment. This is numbers. This is, there's, at the end of the day, beds, baths, location, condition are what's going to effectively price the property. With that being said, there's some, intangible things that go into it. Cute properties do well, just like when they're on the market for sale. But photos, properties that photograph well, that got a lot of natural light and that have great landscaping and are just, cute and eye appealing, they're going to perform. They're going to perform better than your standard quote unquote investment property that may be a little disheveled, may have some wear and tear on it. And so those are things that our property managers are specifically coached in looking at when they're walking into a property for the first time. Not only how to continue to maintain the quality of the property, but consistently improve it. And there's opportunity to put money into a property that will help a client get an extra return, that's another thing that we can help with.
Well, I even think you just mentioned, pictures and stuff, because again, we're in this digital age where everyone is looking online. Like that's the first thing that they're going to look at is the pictures too. And sometimes it's hard to photograph properties that have tenants in them, isn't it? Like, I don't know. I've seen them where they got clothes thrown everywhere. Like it's just so disheveled. How do you kind of do that with investors? How do you kind of talk them through and coach them through that process?
Yeah. So on from a holistic standpoint, at RPM, we believe that the resident is the key. The resident is going to be the key for this to be a successful venture for you. So it starts at the very beginning, placing a high caliber tenant. We're really thorough on our screening processes up front when placing a tenant. We want the residents that are going to be living in the home to take pride in where they live, and we want to manage properties in which people want to live there, not necessarily because they have to live there. So believe that the tenants have to love where they live and treat the property with respect and have pride in where they live. And usually everything else can fall into place when it comes to having to, check on condition and photograph properties. But front-end expectations are so important. So when we're signing leases with new tenants, outlining that process and what it looks like and their duties and obligations when they give notice. Tenant gives notice to move out of a property 60 days in advance. By doing that, there's things that they're responsible for, having the home tidied and knowing that we can go in and show the property, photograph the property in order to effectively cut down on vacancy and be proud of what we're putting out there. When people are out searching for potential rentals, I think that's something that we do really, really well is our professional photos and creating great ads for people to look through. The days of being able to go through a property with your iPhone and snap a few photos, put it on Facebook Marketplace, people are getting a little bit more wary of that, although it can work. But from a tenant standpoint, they kind of want to know that they're renting from an institution, or at least a DIY landlord that has the experience and the processes in place so that they're taken care of for the next year, 2 years, 3 years, whatever it may be while they're renting.
Yeah, I have some clients who rented from somebody, not me, so I can't say that, not me. But it was a thing. They got in there and the place was a disaster. And do you think that landlord ever would have gotten back to them? Nope, they avoided them at all costs. And sometimes, again, landlords don't want to hear, like you said, they don't want to hear about their own properties, or they think it's fantastic. And so these other people should too. And so I think, again, having that third party in there to be able to deal with some of the hardships is kind of a nice thing to have. Like, again, they're that buffer between you and the end client.
Yeah. Yep.
I'm sure you had some horror stories over all your years too of rentals. Like, is there anyone that just like completely comes to mind when you're like, oh gosh, this was the biggest disaster? I think we learn best from other people's mistakes. Is there something that, again, would trigger an investor to maybe want to hire a property manager? Is there something that you're like, oh gosh, this was just like a disaster and I just need to tell everybody about it?
Oh, probably a little bit numb to what could be considered a disaster. I think, not necessarily a particular circumstance comes to mind, but evictions are always hard. And I believe wholeheartedly that evictions can be completely avoided. They can be completely avoided by, at the very start, purchasing properties in great neighborhoods, well cared for homes, so that we can place, again, a tenant that is proud to live in that home and that's qualified to live in that home, and to continue to take proactive steps towards making sure that we never have to evict a tenant, because that can always be really, really hard, not only for the landlord or the client, but for the people that are living there. So things don't always go according to plan. People lose jobs, people have to relocate, breakups happen. So there's a lot of circumstances that can happen but having a property manager that for better or worse has gone through that hardship before with other folks and can help navigate through that, I mean, rather pretty emotional set of circumstance when someone's losing their home or a place to live. So those are always hard. But gosh, most nightmare stories have to deal with bad plumbing.
Oh yeah.
Plumbing. Get the sewer, get the sewer scope, make sure that the main stack's cleared. Just seen a lot of poop.
Yeah.
And literally, so just plumbing, and that's probably like physically kind of probably usually the worst stuff to go through is water in basements, sewage in basements. Just never really fun to deal with. But again, we're here to help with that stuff. And also a thing that we can help with is for out-of-state investors or people that aren't local, doing inspections for storms. So Iowa is starting to become just seems like there's a natural disaster every year, it seems like. So we're here to help do inspections, get insurance claims started. There's some hardship that can come from not having claims reported in a timely manner. So when it comes to like financial disasters, a lot of times those are insurance claims that if we can help be involved in early, we can make sure we're mitigating that risk and getting things in place in a timely manner. So.
And I think that, basically to sum up what you said is most of it's communication. Like it's communication from the tenants, it's communication from the landlords, communication between all three too, that can avoid most of these circumstances, truly.
Yeah, for sure. And there's still, property management is still very oriented towards, it takes boots on the ground. It takes people that are knowledgeable about real estate and property management, going and physically looking and seeing properties and meeting with people. It's vital to know what's going on at a property. A lot of times tenants don't know that anything's wrong sometimes. No. I've had people in properties, and this was a long time ago when we first, had a larger portion of our portfolio be some kind of distressed properties, but people that had raw sewage in their basement, and it had been that way since they moved in, and we took over from a different property management company, and we make a point of trying to get through all of our properties while we're onboarding them, and people that had been living that way for years and just thought it was normal. That's normal. That's the way this is. So really vital to have knowledgeable property managers with real experience, being the boots on the ground and taking a look at properties.
I think that's a great point too, is again, you're kind of being that proactive approach where you're, taking a look at it. It reminds me of, I know you send out emails to people, some of your tenants too, of reminders of things. It reminds me of a story, like, again, when I think about, not me personally, I had a client who rented out to some college kids, and they just turned off the heat to save a few bucks while they went home, and the pipes froze and it flooded that entire house. And that was a huge insurance claim. And so it's also a reminder to check your insurance if that covers it too, because it wouldn't have, because they never let the people know that they were renting out that house once they moved out too. And so it's like all these little reminders that we learn about, but having somebody on your side to remind people, whether it's from you as a property manager getting those reminders, or whether it's to those tenants, it kind of works both ways. And sometimes, again, your single family renter or investor isn't going to have the time to do that, or the know-how, or had those issues come up to actually think about that space.
Exactly. Yeah.
There, big shout out to property managers there.
Appreciate it.
I got you. Yeah. If you want one key takeaway to hire a property manager, what would you want that one key takeaway for people to be?
One key takeaway of, could you ask the question in a different way?
Yeah. So, this is probably going to be a lot of lenders and agents that are probably going to be listening right now. What do you think, like, again, for them to tell their clients, like, hey, you should get a property manager? What do you think, like, one key thing of that would be? Like, why would you want them to get a property manager?
I just, again, I think it comes down to being able to have someone in your corner that does it every single day, that does it every day, and knows what they're doing and knows what the upside is, but maybe more importantly, knows what can go wrong. So whether an agent's client wants to hire a property manager or not, at least sitting down with someone that's been in the space to help coach them up, I think is really, really important. So just having someone in your corner that knows what they're doing is important. And even from an agent standpoint, it would just be like trying to, if you had the means to write a mortgage on a home, write a mortgage on a property yourself, it's like, just because you can doesn't necessarily mean you should. So getting people to the right place, to the experts who can align with your client's goals and help them get there. It's just kind of like one less thing that you have to worry about as an agent or a lender, is having a trusted expert in the space.
Yeah, I always like to say we all need to stay in our own lanes. And what's my best lane? It's not telling people what their property is going to rent for. Nope, that's for other people to do. And so that's where Caleb steps in too. So
Right on.
Caleb, we always like to end our podcast with one random question. So Caleb knows that these come out of left field. He's like, here we go. What's this going to be too? You're a big sports guy. I know that.
Yeah.
Okay, there's a ton of NIL deals going on out there. So if you could have 3 people sponsor you, 3 companies, 3 people, who would your sponsorships come from?
3 sponsorships. REI.
Oh, okay.
I'd want to be sponsored by REI. I think, if there's one place that I could go to spend all my money the fastest, it would probably be REI. Man, I just love everything they have in that store. So I'd want REI to sponsor me. What else? Probably Hy-Vee.
Okay, you and Kaylen Clark. Oh.
I'd be open to Fairway. Maybe Aldi company, because I'm a big fan of Trader Joe's. I switch.
Yeah.
Trader Joe's.
We went full circle there.
Trader Joe's. I'd want to be a sponsor, and probably RealClear.
Oh, hearts. Love it.
Love the logo. If you guys can send me any merch, that'd be great.
Okay, consider it done. That's an easy thing that we can make happen too. You better rep that gear too. Love it.
Yeah.
Caleb, well, we appreciate you again spitting all of your knowledge about property management. Again, if I ever have questions, you're always there to answer them. For me, as I'm sure you're there to answer them for everybody else too. So we appreciate your time, your knowledge, and just being here with us and being real clear. How about that?
Absolutely. Yeah. I had a really great time. Thanks for having me.
Awesome. We'll hopefully see you again on here sometime soon.
No doubt about it.
Perfect.
Just shoot me a message. I'll be here.
Love it. Thanks, Caleb.
All right. Thanks, Jess. Thanks, Kaylen.